Have you ever wondered why so many women get epidurals in labor in the US?
Can women actually handle unmedicated birth? That's what I wondered, because let's be real, most first-time parents are told that having childbirth without meds is just risky, dangerous, unnecessary.
If you're pregnant or just curious, we're going to share why it's more doable than you think. Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. I'm Steven, this is JK. Between the two of us, we've practiced family medicine for over 25 years. We've also been childbirth educators for over a decade.
In this video, we're going to talk about the culture of epidurals. We're also going to talk about what's in epidurals, why we get epidurals, and I'm going to share a personal story as to why I chose not to get epidurals. So let's get into it.
So let's start with the big picture. Why do so many women in the US give birth in hospitals?
I think because it is just the norm, 99% of women give birth in the hospital in the US, and it's really different compared to other countries. I mean, you're in the hospital, it's available, it's one of the main procedures, and there's just so much rolled out for you when you're in the hospital setting.
Yeah.
You have more access to all of those interventions.
Yeah. So why do you think it's that high?
That's a good question. I feel like it's culture. I mean, I think that it's just a part of our culture in the US. If you're going to give birth, you're going to do it with an epidural, because it's honestly seen as birth is seen as a dangerous and just really unbearable process. And so if you are already thinking, I'm not going to be able to get through this without an epidural, you're going to most likely request that. And when you feel the pain, it's like, oh, they were right. I need to get this epidural. And our care here too, it's majority OB led. So most women are going to have an obstetrician as their main birth attendant. So, I mean, OBs are amazing. They are really skilled surgeons.
Yeah.
So it just it tracks with the care that they're going to be giving. It's like you're going to usually get more interventions and possibly more procedures because they have the skills to do that.
Right, so that's one part of it. Another part is it can make it a little bit easier to manage a woman who's pregnant and going through labor when they have an epidural in, and you can see their heart rate and the baby's heart rate on an electronic field monitor. You can also strap a tachometer to be able to track how the contractions are going. And if they have an epidural in, then you can give Pitocin, so you can be the one in control of how fast the labor process moves. And then the woman's gonna be in the bed, and you can give them a catheter so they're not up and moving around where they can fall and get hurt. If a woman gets an epidural in the hospital setting, it kind of makes things a little bit easier to manage for the nurse and for the doc. So that's a part of it too.
Yeah, that definitely is a part. I agree. And I think too, it's it's so difficult because all of those things, it makes sense from the medical part of managing a birth. But I think the thing that becomes the issue, especially for moms here in the US, is that now birth is a medical event. It's not really this natural process. And I know some people don't really care about that, but for the women who do, you opt out as soon as you get into that system because it is going to be treated more medical, and so all of those interventions, they're made with a purpose to be able to manage the care in that setting. But if you're really wanting to have an unmedicated birth, if you're there, the expectation is that you're going to have something.
Yeah.
You're going to be a part of the process, the protocols, what they do in the hospital.
Yeah, totally. And that's why most childbirth education that's given in the hospital is really just hey, when you come to the hospital, these are the procedures that you're going to have done.
Exactly.
We're going to check you. We're going to do a rhythm strip. We're going to do a vaginal exam. When you get your epidural, you're going to have a catheter in. It's just really telling people what is going to happen when you come to the hospital. So let's talk about why you think there's so much pressure to get epidurals.
For us, especially in the United States, we are not open to embracing unmedicated childbirth. It's just not a thing. It's why would you do that? You must be crazy. Something must be wrong with you to want to do that. And that is where a lot of the pressure comes in for moms.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is also the exposure, or I should say the lack of exposure that we have in US society towards what birth looks like. When we go through super painful things like a kidney stone, it's likened to giving birth, as though that is the marker of the worst pain that is imaginable that we as human beings can experience. And that's pretty intimidating. If you add that onto what we see in media, movies, TV shows, what labor looks like, what childbirth looks like, it looks like the most painful thing imaginable.
On top of that, everybody's saying, just get it. Just get the epidural. You know, don't try to be the hero. Don't try to, you know, martyr yourself. Like, just go ahead and get it, because this is gonna hurt a lot.
Totally. And for you, you had people in your life saying those things to you.
Oh yeah, for sure, of course. And we've even heard it from students. You know, we've had students who tell us their stories when they're in the hospital. And I wish we didn't have this cultural norm, because it would really open up possibilities for more moms when they're in this process. Because labor does not have to be medicalized. It could be a natural process. You just have to have support to do it.
Yeah. And man, like, it's so important to get education. Trying to have an unmedicated birth would be like running a marathon without training, without running, without stretching, without doing the stuff needed to really successfully complete the marathon. So for all the women out there, for the couples out there that are watching this, check out the link in the description. We've got an incredible course. If you are wanting to have an unmedicated birth, we've got an incredible course for you to help you through the process.
Something a lot of people don't talk about, which we should get into, is what exactly is in an epidural.
Yeah, so there's a big misconception that epidurals are strictly numbing medicine. Numbing medicine similar to the ones that you would get if you went to the dentist. You get a shot of lidocaine, super numb, drooling on yourself, maybe biting yourself accidentally. Epidurals are more than just lidocaine or bupivacaine. There's actually opiate in them. And the one that's used really commonly is the one that's associated with the opioid epidemic. It's fentanyl. And that's really surprising, I think, for a lot of people to learn that. There's fentanyl, there could be Dilaudid, there could be some other type of opiates in the epidural. It's a pretty scary thing, because there's no barrier. There's
crosses.
Yeah, there's a misconception that the placenta will stop bad things from getting into the baby's bloodstream. And that's not true. There's studies that show it is in the baby's bloodstream and it's affecting the baby. Babies who are born from moms who have an epidural, they come out more lethargic. They come out possibly having some respiratory issues because their brain is breathing slower because of the opiate in their system. They could have latching issues and suckling issues. They definitely come out high on opiates because it's affecting them. And when you compare that to a baby who's born to an unmedicated mom, it is so night and day.
It is night and day.
Right.
I mean, those babies are fully alert. They're able to look around. They have all their full reflexes. They can suckle. They can crawl up the abdomen, latch. Like, it's beautiful when you see babies that don't have any narcotic in their system. And it's really scary to think because, like you mentioned, the opioid crisis, this is something that is tearing families apart and ripping lives like out of this world every day. And we don't even think, okay, a lot of people, they're actually experiencing their first hit at birth because that opiate is in the system. You can see it when you see the opiate exposure. All those symptoms you mentioned, those are all signs. And with a baby, especially a 1 day old, not even 1 day, like this baby is hours old, we can't measure how much opiate is really going to be in their system. It's not the same as dosing the mother. You don't know how much is going to get to the baby. Every baby is different and every baby will respond differently to opiates. I mean, there's people that don't even want to give their babies a vaccine in the first hours of life, but they're okay with like having that opiate. And I think a lot of people just don't realize that there are actual side effects to epidurals. It's not just numbing medication.
Yeah.
So it's something that a lot of people have to understand when they're making the decision to really weigh the benefit and the risk.
That's probably one of the reasons why you chose not to have an epidural.
Definitely.
Were there other reasons why you chose to do it 4 times unmedicated?
Yeah, I mean, the first I think the biggest thing was that I wanted to be present. I wanted to be present when the baby was born. I wanted to have full like faculties, I wanted to be able to walk, I wanted to be able to move, I wanted to be able to just feel everything. And I knew that if I could trust my body, I had a better chance of doing that. I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up in the fear of the pain that we miss out on that special time, you know, just bonding. If a baby can't latch, it really starts the process of bonding in a strained, stressful way. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. And I also knew that there were side effects to the epidurals. I've seen them, you know, like there's moms that can get spinal headaches. There's moms that deal with all types of complications from the epidural. And I knew like, I didn't want to get a catheter. I didn't want to be bedbound. Like,
yeah, it increases the rate of C-sections.
Yes, that part. I didn't want to have to deal with that being the cascade, you know, because when you opt in, it does increase your risk. So for me, those were the reasons why I did it. But I knew that it was going to be seen as crazy. You know, like when I told people I was going to do it unmedicated, they were like, why?
Yeah.
What? Like, you don't have to do that. And it's like, of course I don't have to, but I really wanted to see what that experience would be like. And then once I was in it, I was like, oh, okay, this is manageable, you know? It definitely was difficult, but it was manageable. So for me, it was the best decision.
Yeah, did you, I know that a part of your research into alternative ways to give birth, because you're a Black woman and the statistics for Black women are really worrisome. Did you feel like having an unmedicated birth was like the only way to avoid being one of those statistics?
Not just not having an epidural, but for me personally, not being in the hospital, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
I wanted to be in an environment where I felt like I'd be safe, because I wanted to have some level of control of the environment. I'm not saying that you can't give birth in a hospital and do it unmedicated. We've had so many students do that, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely possible. But at the time where I was mentally, I just knew that I didn't even want to have the option, because if I was in the setting and I had the option of epidural, most likely I would say yes. I would just feel the pressure and I would feel like I needed to bend in that way. And I didn't want to do it. So I was like, let me just take myself out of the equation, and then I don't have to deal with that at all, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was wisdom. Just let me not even enter into that, and then I can be able to have the birth that I want.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I'm glad that it was beautiful and worked out so great. But you still experience the pain. And so a lot of moms and a lot of people, they have no idea what it's like. So like, what was that experience like for you? And what did the pain feel like?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously it's going to be different for every woman. I didn't know how I was going to deal with the pain. It's not like, I mean, I have had painful experiences. I've broken a bone and things like that. And so I didn't know what my pain threshold would be for labor. But early labor, honestly, it felt like period cramps. I grew up not having the best periods, right? And so I did have painful periods many times, but early labor felt even better. Like it wasn't even as bad as those cramps back then. Active labor is where it got more intense. But again, it was like you get breaks. You have work for, 30 to 60 seconds. It's hard work, but then you get a break for several minutes. So it's not the worst pain. It's not, when you think of a sharp, gripping, like stabbing pain, it's not like that, because the great thing is that our body has hormones to be able to counterbalance the pain. And it's actually helping you to manage the pain as you go through labor. So even when I was in transition, I remember having a contraction. Well, it was really like 3, where in my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but I was like, why didn't I just get the epidural? Because that was intense. That was like, I don't know if I can get through this anymore. I'm kind of at the end of myself. But that was literally when transition happened.
Yeah.
And my body was shifting into pushing.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
You remember. So
Absolutely.
so I mean, honestly, out of all the contractions I experienced, it was three where I was, mentally having that battle of, can I do this? Am I strong enough to get through this? Otherwise, I was cruising, like coasting through contractions. We were in such a good rhythm. I was like, this is actually okay. Like there was somewhere I was like, wow, we did that. Like that was actually amazing. Pushing was amazing. I felt relief by the time I got to that point. So there was so many things that I got to feel and experience and sensations I would have totally missed.
Yeah. And you often say, if it weren't for pregnancy, because pregnancy's been really hard, each subsequent pregnancy has been harder and harder, but if it weren't for pregnancy, if it was just labor and birth, you would love to do that over and over again.
It's true. I loved the birth experience. I loved it. And I think that's so important for like first time moms to hear, is that you really can feel joy. It can be a beautiful experience. I felt at peace many times during the labor process. I felt empowered. I felt embodied. Like I felt so many things in my body. I felt the baby. We were working together. It was just an experience you can't even put words to. It's really otherworldly. Like it's just, it's a very spiritual experience too. And those are things that can be missed when you are medicated, unfortunately. So that is the thing that I feel the most sad about, is that there's so many moms that don't get to experience that, because they're told you don't need it. Just get the epidural.
So what are some of the key things that you want people to take away from our conversation?
I think the biggest thing is that there are options. If you're first time parents, there's options. Don't feel like you have to go with the grain. Like it's okay to go against it. And if you feel that you want to have a birth that is without medication, you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can completely do it. You should be prepared.
Yeah, got to be prepared.
Make sure you get preparation. Have really great education. Again, we have to mention, this is why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because the experience that we had, it was so life-changing, that we just encourage everybody to be able to benefit from the information that we've learned, what we share in our course, all of our resources. You can check them out at our birth room. But also, I think if you want to have an epidural, that is your choice, right? You can have an epidural. Again, the biggest thing is making sure that you're healthy, baby's healthy, and you want to have an empowered experience. So when you know what the choices are, it gives you the opportunity to really make the choice that's best for you.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be somebody forcing it onto you, but you should be making it out of your own.
I think for me, when I think about partners, dads, what they can be for moms through this process, it's really an incredible opportunity to be an active participant and not just a lump on a log or someone that's hanging out watching moms go through this, maybe even feeling kind of scared about seeing moms go through it, because the mystery of what the labor process is like and what birth is like, that's also what dads and partners feel also. They don't know what it is. But with education that I got, man, it made that experience with you something that I would cherish and hold on to and never, ever, ever forget. It just made me so much more appreciative of you, seeing how powerful you are, how strong you are, how resilient you are, feeling so much closer to you.
Yeah.
Like going through that really intense experience, bringing a new body, a new soul, a new spirit into the world together.
And
right?
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, so it's so incredible to be able to share that with you and to be able to do that with you 4 times and to know that we did that.
We did it.
Right? And I want for other partners and other dads to experience that also. Instead of just being scared, not knowing what's going on, just sitting there waiting, there's so much more that they can experience during labor and during the birth process than that. And it's so much richer and so much deeper, and it really forms an incredible bond between the two people. So hopefully they get to experience that too. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.